I'm Tyler, and I'm here to talk about why I think Thor Ragnarok is easily the best Thor movie that we've had so far. So let's talk about why Thor Ragnarok is no perfect movie. So in Ragnarok, our main hero, once again played by Chris Hemsworth, finds himself enslaved as a gladiator by the Grandmaster, played by Jeff Goldblum. And in order to return to Asgard, he has to defeat the Hulk, once again played by Mark Ruffalo, in a gladiator match so that he can return and prevent Hela, the goddess of death, played by Cate Blanchett, from destroying everything in her path. Now, when I first heard people describe Ragnarok as the best Thor movie that we've had so far, it honestly didn't really surprise me because the Thor movies just haven't been that interesting to me. I mean, I like Chris Hemsworth, I like Tom Hiddleston, and many of the other actors who are involved, but the scientist characters, wow, they are just so annoying. And on top of that, I don't want to see Thor, this god who lives in this huge, magical world of Asgard, have to rely on humans who are scientists in order to assist him, which, aside from the fact that they're humans, they're just the most bland stock characters you can get. The love interest, the overprotective mentor, the cheap comic relief, you name it. Instead of having to rely on these powerful and badass beings like Heimdall or the warriors free to assist them. So when I found out that Ragnarok was going to start from scratch with Thor and focus more on Asgard and the universe that surrounds it, I was actually a lot more excited for it. But to be honest, for the first act of the movie, I was sitting in my seat thinking, this is good, but it doesn't really feel that much different. For me, the beginning of the movie felt like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. You have a really good 80s soundtrack, you've got Thor traveling from one planet to another so that he can find what he's looking for, and of course the cartoonish one-liners that you would expect from any MCU movie right now. So it felt different from the Thor movies that came before it, but at the same time, it still followed the same formula and structure that you would see in the MCU. Then the gladiator match between Thor and Hulk happened, and from then on, the movie is just a blast. From the opening fight scene to the final battle, Taika Waititi shows that he's surprisingly good at directing some of the best action sequences I've seen in an MCU movie so far. And yes, a lot of it is actors fighting CG objects or digital body doubles. But the choreography and the settings for the action are very creative and fast-paced. When you see Hela doing backflips around an entire army, or Heimdall slicing through his opponents, or Thor and Hulk just beating the shit out of each other, their movements are so quick and fluid, and there's a lot of emphasis on how hard the hits are. Characters are flying all over the place. When they hit the floor, the sound effects really make you feel the hit. And a lot of characters actually lose limbs, and when they do, the shot actually lingers on for a while to make you feel the impact. And this is easily Chris Hemsworth's best performance as Thor. His comedic timing has gotten a lot better, and he's actually more believable as an everyman because the people on Earth and on Sakaar, this planet that the Grandmaster rules over, also speak very casually, so it's easier for him to relate to everyone. But what actually surprised me the most about him was that I actually bought him as a team leader, which is kind of necessary. He's the Crown Prince of Asgard, he kind of has to be a leader at some point. And he has to reach out to people like Hulk and Valkyrie, who was played very well by Tessa Thompson, by the way, to help him out on his journey, and they're both very damaged people who are afraid to help because of past mistakes, but he makes it clear that if they help him, they can redeem themselves, and he can avoid following in the same footsteps. And he also has to make certain sacrifices that, honestly, I didn't see coming, and without spoiling anything. Unlike other MCU movies, these choices are irreversible. Once he makes his choice, he can't and doesn't turn back. It's good to see Tom Hiddleston back as Loki, and it's funny every time we expect him to betray Thor, but because it's a repeating cycle, Thor is always one step ahead of him. Idris Elba is also given a brief but memorable arc that lets him get to be more badass and become more physically involved with the story. And you know what? I actually liked Cate Blanchett as Hela. It is true that she is just psychotic and enjoys inflicting pain on people, but her abilities and her amount of power actually make her a threatening presence against Thor. And Cate Blanchett's performance is over the top in just the right way where you can see how much she enjoys being the goddess of death and inflicting that pain on people. Now I gotta be honest. I'm not a big fan of Jeff Bloom. That's Chaos Fury. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to like Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster, but I don't like his style of acting where sometimes he stutters his lines, sometimes he speaks very slowly, and then all of a sudden he speaks a lot quicker. I just find that method of acting really sloppy and kind of distracting too. Plus, compared to Hela, who rules over Asgard with an iron fist, shows no mercy whatsoever, and can easily, and for the most part does, do almost everything herself, the Grandmaster is this incompetent, spoiled brat who gets everyone else to do his dirty work for him, and I didn't find him having that much presence as a villain, which is kind of important because Thor is trapped on Sakaar for the majority of the movie, and in order to escape, you kind of need a villain that could really push him to the limits. Thor Ragnarok is to Thor what Winter Soldier is to Captain America. It changes up the formula that the previous films did and gives us something that feels refreshing, thanks to great action, great comedy, Chris Hemsworth's best performance as Thor, and overall, it's just a fun movie to watch. And for that reason, I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok a 4 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching, and what are your thoughts on Ragnarok? Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.